All right, guys, so first let me say this is not the formal Functional Friday, even though it is Friday, and there's an issue I found here with, this is my son's G44. And of course, he wants the most refined trigger that I can build. And since I do have it in hand in the shop, I can do that. And I think after watching this video, you guys that do get my Timney trigger kit are going to see that the reason why I can't build them exactly like this. I can get them so much better and lighter and better resets and all that stuff. But to do something like this, I really need the gun in hand. And so we'll start out by showing you what the trigger break actually looks like. So it's literally once you depress this, oh, I guess I gotta always do that. And I'll check it just since we're on video here because all right. So basically once you depress the safety plunger, the trigger breaks. Okay. There is the reset, break. Reset. All right, that's what's happening. Okay, so this is called a binary fire, which means as I let out the reset, if I let it out slowly, it's going to usually fire. It didn't fire that time, but nonetheless, if it does it once, it's problematic. It did it right there. So, and why that is happening is because there's a little differential from when and I'm going to try my best. I don't have wick here right now. I'm going to try my best to keep this in focus for you guys. There's a differential from when it's in after the bar is picked back up and when it drops back down into reset. So it's literally right in this area right there where you see the little differential happening with the bar. And in this case, it's the receiver. You can see a little change. You can see a drop. It's going to drop the sear, and in the same way with the cruciform, it's going to drop the cruciform, and that's literally why you get the binary fire. So the gun fires and you're sitting high because the cruciform spring or the receiver spring in this case has lifted the bar up, and so when you go to drop, that differential right there sends the striker flying. Okay, so there's two things. Now I have this taken significantly further back into pre-travel because I have the gun in hand and I have one of those housing screws in there. But what happens is the further I bring it back into pre-travel, and I'll show you this here, hopefully I can get this. The further I do bring it into pre-travel, if you watch the receiver, it's actually going to start pushing down. I gotta keep it steady. There you go, pushing down on that. So as I dial it forward, it's going to relieve the pressure on the top of this shelf, thereby allowing that receiver block to, we'll say sear, to come up in the air. It's gonna make it rise. So I'm in a conundrum here because if I want to take out this much pre-travel, I'm gonna have a binary issue. Okay, but the fact is I do want to take out this much pre-travel. So how am I going to be able to make this work? Now remember, I told you with Glocks you can only, here is your window of opportunity. It is right here. That is all the space you have to work with. So as you can see right here on this, let me turn it this way. Well, that's not going to work. If you see where the top of if you see where this is right here, I have a couple thousandths that I can lift this up off of that shelf. Okay, so there's only really one way to do that. Well, there might be another way, but the way I'm doing it is with shims. So basically, and it still might not work. I've already done this. I've already messed with this a couple times, but I thought it was relevant enough for you guys to see. So, and I'm really trying to make sure this all stays in focus for you and everything like that. So when I'm talking about shims, and unfortunately all I have right now, and I will get some metal shims, and on impromptu is like I'm cutting post-it notes, okay, because it's going to give me, it's about 6 sheets thick, and it's looking like it's going to give me exactly what I need. Now, of course, I will not use it like this. I will get the shims that I need, the paper, the shim material that I need, and do it correctly. But I'm going to show you how this goes because I have to take out this And these can be tricky. So what I've been doing is I've been just using something right here to pull them out. You know, that's usually really a good way of getting them out of there. All right. And since the only place I can shim this up in the back a little bit is right here, you know, because I want it just to tilt a little bit. Now I could shim it in the front and the back, and that might be exactly what I'm going to do. But right now I'm going to just shim this area. So inside of this, it's going to make this sear sit up higher. Is everyone following what I'm saying? So if it's straight like that, you have the sear height where it is. If I can lift it up in the air just a little bit and lift it to the point where I'm not maxing out the space that I have inside of here, then it's a win-win. Now I've already done it with 3 and it didn't work. I'm going to do it with 6. And the way I'm doing this, and like I said, these it's just like when you're timing a compensator or a flash hider or whatever for, you know, timing screws. It's the same sort of idea of the shim. The shim is going to take up the space that I need to in order to get this to function the way I want it to. And yeah, it's a pain, you know what I mean? So, but this is the kind of stuff that sets you apart from other people when you go the distance. Goodness gracious. Okay, finally got that in there. So the shim material is in there, which, like I said, it would be thin metal. Right now I'm just using these Post-it notes to get an idea. When I drop this in, I want to drop it in forward so it actually pushes the shim paper backwards into where I want it to seat. So now it's back behind here. You can see a little bit of it is sticking out. I can deal with that. And what that is doing is that is causing this to lift up in the air higher to grab that striker as the striker sits right here, and that little differential happens as this lowers and that differential happens. You're not going to set the striker, you're not going to loose the striker. So basically I have to find my little screw here, and this can be a total, these stuff like this is very time consuming. But it's worth it to if you're really trying to. And I think you enthusiasts out there get me. You know, if you're really trying, there I popped it up. We're coming down in right there. All right, so I'm locked in, and you can almost see right there. I just have just a little bit more red than I did. Now, when I drop this in, I have to make sure that I'm not, you know, that I have the clearance up here. You can see it's completely riding on the top of that right now, on the top of that shelf window. So when I drop this in and go through the rigmarole of these Gen 5s work so much easier because you have the this right here, the slide catch to help you. And yeah, you know, it's a G44. I've been using this Gen 5 model for the G44. It's worked fine. I mean, I've put so many rounds through this, it's unreal. It's really a pleasurable experience shooting this. So okay, so we're in there, and now we're going to put the then we're going to put the back pin in. Put this whole thing back together. And now it's not catching at all. Well, there we go. Here we go. Nope. So see, there's something, same thing, there's something awry in this system. It's returning really slow. So what that's telling me is it's really too pinned. It's too pinned on the top. It's being held right here. Like I said, we have that window, and now that window inside here where the bar is, it's maxed. It's maxing out. So it's not wanting to move back and forth whatsoever. And that's what's causing ultimately the function, the drag, and the trigger to do exactly what it's doing. So 6 sheets is not working. It's too much. And like I said, you know, guys, I'm trying to make a video here for you guys to understand. If any, don't begrudge me for using Post-it notes. This is nothing I would actually do. This is just in theory. It's not going to be in practice. So basically, I'm going to back this back out. I'm going to get this up out of here. And so now we know, and actually it might be 4 sheets, but before I start, you know, like I said, here's the deal. At this point, this is my son's gun. and I treat your guns like as if they were my kids, you know, or any gun that I get here. So, you know, that's why it's always safety first. So basically, I'm not gonna, you know, of course I get it, you know, he wants this totally awesome trigger, and who doesn't? But it can't be at the point of a safety risk. It just can't. So basically, what I'm going to do with this, and there's got to be a happy medium. You know, where's that little screw? See what I'm saying, guys? This is like, great way to start the Friday afternoon out. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get down in there. That's going to give me a good middle of the road, okay? And it is a middle of the road. Maybe if I put one more sheet, once I get the metal shimming material, I'll know better on how I want to proceed with that. And even if I do want to push the threshold with it, you know. And if you keep doing this over and over and over again, and that's why they gave that little U-clamp, you're going to, that plastic right there, you're going to bite into it, and you're just going to want to keep slipping forward. So you really have to be careful when you're installing this, that you're putting a little pressure here to cant this thing. So it's grabbing back there on the actual material right there, okay? And there's like a little horseshoe thing now that they have. So let's put this back together. But now what we're going to do is, because that was just too much pre-travel taken out, it's putting it in a precarious position. It's putting it in a compromised position. Not precarious, compromised would be the better word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this out a little bit, because you've seen my videos. I can't get a good grip on there. You know, pre-travel isn't as big deal as everyone thinks. But like I said, it's my kid, and I'm going to go the distance for him, try to get this thing as performance as I can without really putting him at risk. So I'm going to back that out a little bit. There. That's interesting. It seems to not want to. Huh. All right, I got it. I'm going to reinstall this. And like I, waited till the middle of the last video to show you, to check the pre-travel, you can put this in first and pull forward. So now, as you can see, there's a substantial gap in between the frame. And this is kind of where I put your guys' triggers when I do them, because like I said, I need these things to be safe. We're still on the shelf right there, just the edge of the shelf, but I still have the shelf built up just in case, because like I said, it's safety first. So basically, and push this back through because I want to get this built to work. Put this in there. Get that back in the center of the screen for y'all. Get it in. Okay, so now with the pre-travel extended, that's probably going to give it just enough breathing room. Nope. What's going on? See, now there's another little glitch in there that I'm watching. Oh, it was the locking block was popped out a little bit. Nope. So back to the drawing board. Whoa! Oh, crap. Back to the drawing board with this, because, all right, let me see. Nope. And it could be, the engagement I need just isn't there. So what this is telling me is I've probably messed with this trigger. And, we don't really ride the reset. We do kind of trigger anticipation. So, as soon as the shot breaks, we're back off it. A lot of guys will hold that back. And so during that process, that little differential, when it does do that, if you're holding it back, you're going to be more likely to get a binary fire than not. So for you guys that do practice trigger anticipation, where you move your finger back off it automatically instead of waiting for it, just move it, boom, move it, boom, move it, boom. I'm anticipating it instead of riding it. And that's the way, I taught my kids. So if I'm going real slow, yeah, there wasn't a binary fire there, but once again, there we go. Yep. So actually, at the end of the day, what I'm going to do to this, and hopefully I'll be in the frame here. I'm going to flip this around. Jackie, River, come here. Hurry up. This is my son River's going to help me. Can you see me in this frame?
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So, at the end of the day, I'm not taking any risks with this. I am going to build this. He's over here laughing. I'm not taking any risks with this. I'm going to build this so it is, just like the website says, as reliable, as predictable, and as safe as I can. And if my son poo-poos, that's too bad. And I know they say the customer's right all the time, but in this field, that's not the case. You know, sometimes the customer isn't right, because sometimes the customer can really get themselves in trouble with that mentality, because it has to stay safe. So I go back to the drawing board. I got to reshape a safety. I got to do a bunch of other stuff. But I thought I'd show you this process, you know, and it's kind of interesting that it didn't work out, because sometimes you have to, you know, you got to know when to fold them. That's just like they say. I forget the name of the song. Is it Johnny Cash song? Got to know when to hold them. Got to know when to fold them. Anyway, so I thought this would be interesting. Maybe some of you guys can, you know, put some shims in there and figure it out and do some other things. But I thought this was a good video to show you, you know, the mechanics and how it all works and kind of why biveterinary fire happens. And, you know, I did my best. I did my best to do this, but I know when it's time to close shop, because I could work on this for another 3 hours and it's not going to matter. In fact, I'm going to just start with a brand new trigger, because this one has been manipulated enough that I'm just not comfortable with it. And honestly, you get this housing to work perfectly. I could pop another housing in, it's not going to work. That's the thing. Even though these are production parts, it's not always going to be consistent from part to part. Like, you could take one of my triggers and drop it in 3 different guns. It's going to have different nuances to it, and that's something you have to remember. So as you're working on these guns on your bench, hopefully in this video you've got a lot of different considerations for you to kind of, like, you know, run through the old brain there. But anyway, yeah, Functional Friday is going to be up. I got a pretty cool video about that. It's going to be about the new Gen 5 housings, what you can do to intensify your reset, and working with the, you know, with those springs that are inside there. It's 11. Okay, so I got to really start thinking about that. Anyway, all right, man, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you a little bit later this afternoon. And remember, trigger control is control. Take it easy.